Hello, welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I just want to go into a little flow. So this is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis, although my intention is just to kind of share whatever might be beneficial for the collective, whoever might be tuning into this. And the first thing I'm going to remind everybody to do is just drop into the heart. This is something I used to do in the beginning and kind of got off track. And essentially what I'm being shown over and over again is how important it is to drop into the body and drop into the heart, to notice to bring our attention, right? Where attention goes, energy flows, not only into our bodies, but into that center, so we can feel as if we are centered and not necessarily so scattered in all of the noise that is going on around us, especially right now and over the course of the next, who knows how long. So feeling into the heart and just feeling gratitude is the key to really being in a place of coherence on a more consistent basis. And this is the continued message that I get over and over again is be consistent with it. Even when I do this kind of work, my guidance team encourages me to be consistent with it. If I take a few days off, let's say from doing sessions, I'm still doing the work for myself, meaning I'm still doing my walking meditations. I'm still doing some heart-centered breath work. I'm still writing in my journal and connecting in with the things that I need in order to feel more balanced and centered. So, okay. And so there is a field that many of us are beginning to recognize that is accessible to us, that may have felt inaccessible before. This has been an ongoing message, and in this particular chapter, in this particular transmission, we will share with you a multitude of linguistics that allow you to feel into the field that we are expressing through and that we are expressing from. For not everyone can access this field unless they are able to feel. Meaning, not everyone can access heightened senses and heightened sense awareness, or not everyone is aware of their abilities to sense a higher dimension or frequency. To share what that consistent long wave looks like. There are many different ways of doing this, and breath work, yoga, meditation, connecting in with the vagus nerve. There are different types of technologies that can stimulate these aspects of the physical body. Cleanses, fasting can help us drop into the body and not have as much coagulation or blockages, and also prayer. So we share these very basic linear concepts, but they are oftentimes overlooked, for we are looking over or looking beyond what it is that we think we need right now. Many of us are looking towards the future and scratching our heads about how are we possibly going to make it. And we consistently remind everybody that the key is consistency in moment to moment, everyday trajectory, in order to keep us on track, in order to keep us on the track of the higher dimensional existence. For when we lose track of where it is that we are focusing our attention and energy on, it creates different tracks. It creates these different, what I'm seeing are timelines or branches that don't necessarily ever flower. So I'll just show what I'm being shown to just draw briefly. So I'm being shown this, this line down here, and this is a timeline. This is our trajectory. And then we get distracted and we go, and then then that fizzles out, and then we go over here and that fizzles out. Sometimes though, we go off track and then we come back into alignment. So essentially it's how consistently are we doing that? If we're everywhere, we have all these scattered energies, we're not necessarily staying on track to go into that higher frequency, because it is about consistently integrating all of the feelings, all of the emotions that are coming up for us. And as we consistently integrate these things, it allows us to stay on track. And that track can look different. I'm being shown it doesn't have to look the same. Everybody's track has a different set of chords, is what I'm hearing. It's a different frequency. And that's the beauty of individuality in the unique way that we're creating reality. And so this is an important topic and message that we continue to repeat and continue to share, because if we do not continue to focus on these things, we will continue to repeat things that we do not wish to share, that we do not wish to continually repeat. It becomes a habitual pattern of frequency indoctrination. And this is a play on words. We have been indoctrinated into a particular key, code, codex, frequency pattern of limiting timelines or developmental rules. And many of us have followed those rules unbeknownst to us, because we have not necessarily understood that beneath this crust, beneath this layer, beneath this hardened exterior, I'm seeing it's like a crusty old timeline. There is the actual living, breathing technology that is a living fluidity of creationary expression and existence that we have access to. And I'm hearing, but somebody else has been pulling the strings. So now we're moving into a place, and this is a play on words, string theory, like we think of puppets, but that's not necessarily true. We only have been following that because we learned that. It was a learned pattern. Our parents taught it to us, and our church taught it to us, and our school systems have taught us this is how things look, this is how things work. And while some of it was true and beneficial, a lot of the truths were mixed in with mistruths, is what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing is mismatched frequency. So if we take the truth and we merge it with something that isn't, but it becomes, I'm hearing it gets welded together, and then it creates something from that version of reality. So I know I'm kind of going off into a little bit of an esoteric tangent, but this is what I'm being shown, how our reality works. So this is why so much of these things that are not compatible with our higher frequencies have been so sustained for so long. Now the guidance team in our bodies and our higher self and our guides and our angels and our ancestors and everything that's talking to us, bringing us into this space, or the space that we are expanding into and we're feeling more of, it's like, hey, there's a lot more here than we thought in the mind that we had access to. And as I say here, this is backup play on words. Are we listening? Are we hearing through all of our senses, our feeling, our heart? Our heart is what tunes all of our body into our extrasensory abilities. So this may seem unimportant and the message may seem redundant, yet we assure you that more people are requiring this ability in order to stay on key. Many people are unable to hear their own heartbeat. They're unable to feel into their body. They're unable to access their deeper layers of their consciousness. They feel as if they are walking through life as a puppet on a string, or don't even realize that this is what they are doing or participating in. They do not realize that much of this has been set up for a particular vision that is no longer something we wish to envision as a collective. We wish to have a new expression, a new experience. And so many of us are finding the pull to go back within and to find what it is that has shifted, what it is that we are shifting into. And so we invite those who are able to hold this frequency on a more regular basis to get back in alignment with the basics, the frequencies of love, and the tunes or the higher sounds or the higher vibrational matches to that which is more in tune with a higher frequency. Or we could say, be the change that we wish to be the change that we wish to see, be the change we wish to see in the world. For this is what is creating the new world. And if we are not finding ourselves, this is a plain words, finding ourselves, we're looking for everybody else to fix it for us. We're looking for everybody else to give us a solution. We're looking for someone else to guide us and show us where the roadmap is. We all have guides all around us. And there are thousands of people who are guides in there, well, millions. We're all guides in our own way. It can be something as simple as, oh boy, I'm in 10 different bubbles right now. I am sharing this channel as a guidance system for anyone who feels that it might be helpful for them by sharing what my system sounds like, looks like, and the steps that I take in order to stay on track. That doesn't mean that I'm always on track. And that's part of the reason I'm sharing this, because the lessons, the experiences, the memories that I create, what I learn can be shared, just as when we had tribes, which we still do, but in the Western civilization, we've lost that. We had storytellers, we had the medicine women, we had the tribal leaders, we had everybody would come together and share, pass the talking stick around, and talk about their dreams, talk about their experiences, what they learned. Here's the plants we learned about. And this became the way in which we grew and learned, but also bonded and came together. So there are many of us that are doing that in our own way. However, and it's beautiful. I have really learned from so many other teachers out there. We're all teachers in our own way. However, what they're showing, reminding us, is we are all our own teacher. We all have that within us. So maybe what I share might trigger a feeling of, oh, that's easier than I thought it would be, or wow, those words make me feel a certain way, or wow, that's a great visualization tool. I didn't think about that before, or yeah, that's been happening to me also. Those are the things that we're all helping each other with, but we are not relying on that. We are utilizing that and then creating our own modality, basically. And I'm hearing modality and mobility. There isn't just one way. And so I'm just being called to remind everybody about that. It's not about us following one particular teacher or method or methodology. It is incorporating what works best for us in that now moment. I'm hearing adaptability. This will change based on where we are in our lives, and finding our own inner security, inner ability to learn from ourselves is so important. And if we're not paying attention to what our body is telling us or what our environment is showing us through synchronicity, through pattern recognition, through the words that we're speaking, this is part of self-mastery, right? Which, again, takes practice. It takes consistency. And I'm sharing, it's not always something that I'm able to consistently be in that field. But the more I practice it, the more consistently I find myself feeling in that field. And then that gives me access to things, knowledge, feelings, visions, understandings, and ahas, answers to questions that I didn't have access to before. Not because it wasn't there, but it was because my frequency or feeling, my heart-centered coherence wasn't there. and I was unable to see it, right? Because I wasn't using my inner vision. So, I'm going to kind of end on that note. And so as we tune into this inner vision, this inner tube, if you will, that allows us to float on this stream of consciousness in this river of crystal light, play on words. I just saw so many different things. I literally just saw crystal light, what you drink, and I'm hearing electrolytes, and I'm hearing electricity lights up the brain. I'm seeing the tube going through these channels, the inner tube. I'm seeing like the water park. I'm seeing a reference to the blood cells and how they look like inner tubes, and just how everything is very interconnected. And this allows us to shift and move in such a way that we go with the flow, and we allow our moments or our I'm hearing moment to moment interaction, inner action. We begin to take action from what is inside of us rather than taking action from what is being projected onto us, or as we stated earlier, the habits that we have learned, the patterns that we are used to operating from. And we begin to move through this new waterway conjunction. And this is the play on words, for much is being revealed in this new reality that we are all co-creating together and exploring, creating, experiencing, expressing, remembering, so on and so forth. And as we move with this newly felt fluidity, it can feel, I'm just seeing again this inner tube. If you've ever been to a water park and you've gone inside one of those tubes, I'm seeing a tube inside of a tube. So it's like, whoo, kind of going around these corners, and it's fun, but it doesn't really feel like you're in control. But that's part of this, is allowing ourselves to let go of the need to control and allow ourselves to feel where we're going, to feel the energy that's inside of us, to feel how we're feeling, because that's going to tell us where we're going, essentially. If it starts to feel too out of control, or it starts to feel, we start to be in fear, we're being called to let go. And we can pause if we need to. We can actually stop and get off the ride if we want to for a bit, and stop and just take a break. But what I'm being shown is there's a lot of energy that is pulling us into this next stage of development. And so it's really important for us. I'm hearing it's a quickening. It's like a fast and there's another word that's coming through. Anyways, it's faster now. So don't be afraid to allow this movement to take us into change faster. We're going to start seeing things changing faster, even though it may not feel like it from a linear perspective, from a quantum perspective, or I don't even know if that's the right word. Things are happening very quickly. So I'm just going to kind of end on that note and say, have fun playing in this new field. It is if you can find the moments, we're not always going to have fun on this ride, in case you haven't noticed. But the more we recognize that we are moving and there is a lot happening, and to drop into our body and really you find our inner teacher and utilize all of these gifts, but never looking to someone else to give us all the answers, whoever it is, it doesn't matter, because every person that's giving us these answers is human, and we're all going to experience different perspectives. And none of us can truly know or understand what another person needs or is going through. I mean, even though we can understand, it doesn't really mean that we are that person, even though we're all one. Does that make sense? Okay, let me try to explain that a little bit better. Just because I might have gone through a similar experience, I know what that feels like for someone not to necessarily understand what I'm seeing. They still don't. I can't tell you how often, bless my husband, I tried to read him something the other day, and he was like trying really hard to understand it. And he's like, I don't think your readers are going to understand this. I was like, yeah, maybe a few of them will, but it doesn't matter. It's my own creative expression. And I've had to learn to let go of the idea that everybody's going to get what I'm talking about, but share it. And that one person that does, it could have a ripple effect on them in a very positive way. So also, I find joy in creating that way. And that's what this is all about. So letting go of the need to control if someone else understands us is a big thing. And the control of us needing to understand someone else too. It is what it is. And that's part of what a lot of us are learning right now. And it wasn't the entire message. The other part of the message is that no one person is the same as us. We're all an individual, unique fingerprint. Therefore, no one is really going to 100% get us necessarily. 99% is possible. And for some people, you might disagree and say, no, I found a partner or a friend that totally gets me. Awesome. Very few and far in between, and that's okay. And the more we can glean from many sources and utilize what fits into our beautiful puzzle and not rely on one person to be the know-all, be-all, end-all, it allows us to then use our own strengths and not rely on someone or something else to save us isn't even the right word. We become responsible. It's not someone else's responsibility to teach us everything that we need to know, because it is inside of us. But we can learn from other sources and utilize as much as we can without putting expectations on ourselves or that other person, and allowing that flow of life to help enhance our own inner knowingness. So, in love and light, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Namaste.